Joining us now to give us a look into how the virus may evolve in our weekly medical segment is Dr. Abhishek Raut, Medical Director at Appletree Medical Group. Dr. Raut, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Pleasure to be here.
So let's start with a brief review of how the coronavirus has mutated over the course of the pandemic.
Well, it's 2022, and over the past few months, we have unfortunately learned quite a bit of the Greek alphabet, from alpha now to Omicron. Alpha, as we know, was the first highly publicized variant. It appeared in Great Britain in November of 2020, and infections really surged around that time. It was about 30 to 50% more contagious than the original coronavirus, and also had a high mortality rate. At the same time, we also talked about Beta variant, which was identified in South Africa at the end of 2022. It was also found to be very contagious compared to the original strain, but we really didn't have a big impact with Beta in Canada specifically. Delta is the variant that we've heard about the most at this point, first identified in India in late 2020. It spread throughout the world, becoming the predominant version until Omicron. But the Delta variant still exists. It's still very concerning. It's estimated to be 90% more transmissible than the Alpha variant, and Delta has caused significant severe disease more than Alpha. Which really brings us today in Omicron. There's still a lot to learn about Omicron. It was identified in Botswana and South Africa in November of 2021, and we had a lot of cases that came about in the past few months. It seems to be far more transmissible than even Delta, but the evidence points it may not be as severe.
Now, this is a very active virus, Dr. Raut. Why does this virus continue to mutate like this?
Right. So viruses are constantly changing. Their genetic code is really prone to changes called mutations that can affect how a virus looks or affects its host. Viruses do rely on a host to survive and replicate. So they invade the body of a human in this case, and then their own genetic material or RNA enters the cells, and that code can sometimes be not so perfect. And we call that a mutation, and they happen quite frequently.
And it's interesting that the Omicron variant can surpass those who are double vaccinated. So how is the virus able to do this?
Well, most of the time when the mutations occur, there really are of no consequence. One adjustment doesn't really change the protein configuration of the virus. These small changes, we call them drifts, minor alterations there. But what's consequential are shifts, major changes in the structure of a virus. If a virus keeps mutating, it accumulates different mutations. It then would be a major shift, and it responds differently to treatments, becomes less recognizable to the antibodies, and that way even natural infection or vaccination is decreased.
All right, Dr. Raut. Well, now as we're being advised to get booster doses, how likely are we to see other variants that can impact the triple vaccinated?
That's very true. I remember most of the mutations being of minimal consequence. There are still many variants of coronavirus that we don't quantify as variants of concern. I think it's certainly possible, but unlikely, that we'll see a variant that may neutralize even triple vaccinated individuals' immunities.
And what about herd immunity, Dr. Raut? We talked a lot about this last year. Can herd immunity eventually help us to be able to live and coexist with this virus?
Herd immunity is key here. If the individual doesn't have proper immunity, the virus can enter the person, replicate more, and cause more mutations and then more variants. If you have strong immunity, let's say from triple boosting, it's very difficult for the virus to replicate, as the immune system will just kill it off before it reaches that state. So once we have enough people with herd immunity from boosters or even from infections, we'll expect that the virus will not be able to replicate and spread as much. And then that'll cause a nice drop in the morbidity and mortality we are unfortunately seeing.
All right, Dr. Raut, a quick 30 seconds left here, but any last messages to our viewers who may be frustrated with newly introduced restrictions?
Fair enough. I mean, in the past 2 years, we have seen more than 5 million lives lost, billions affected there, and everyone does have the sensation of fatigue and deja vu. To them, I say, stay strong. You are not alone. And in the words of Gwendolyn Brooks, even if you're not ready for the day, it cannot always be night.
Dr. Raut, always great having you. Thank you again.
Thanks so much.